still retain the hope that even those who rejoice at my incarceration would find sufficient humanity to realize that if it is tolerated in relation to A, then it becomes legalized against B, C, D, E, and F. And you know, the thing about endorsing oppression is that, you know, when you're at the beach and you're busy peeing on top of a crab, and then the wind direction shifts, you find that you're peeing on yourself, even though it was a poor little crab that you started out peeing on. That is what happens when you endorse oppression. The fact that we have become so Philistinic and we don't read, and even when we read, our biases have turned us into people who subjectifies the truth. So if it is the truth in relation to A, it might no longer be the truth in relation to B, simply because you like B, or B speaks your language, or you worship in the same church, or you are in the same mosque. So all I have done is to put a mirror in front of the judiciary. It is about a system that is structured to permit abuses, structured to administer impunity.
Considering your experience, some critics have looked at it that seems Nigerian elites, criminal elites so to speak, are weaponizing the justice by using the legal system in order to silence dissent. Do you believe that?
The Nigerian legal system is not structured to deliver justice. Institutionally, it is actually incapable of delivering justice. And it is not its fault. It is a function of a structuring and the purpose to which it is pressed. Purpose almost always determines design. If a system is designed to deliver justice, the process of appointment into judicial offices would not be what it currently is. Judicial positions have become essentially hereditary. It is the children of retired justices or serving justices, and it reached its apogee during the years of Kayode Ariwola. The level of nepotism that reduced the Nigerian judiciary today guarantees that it cannot do justice. It has become essentially prebendal. Rub my back, I rub your back. Bokachua gave us an insight into how judicial decisions were reached. And when you look at these various judicial somersaults that has taken place in our space, it is, look, if we're ever going to save our country, at some point we are going to have to tell ourselves that we must fix the judiciary.
So the fact that you are a prisoner,
yeah.
What does it reveal about the state of law enforcement, considering the process you had to go through? You were abducted and moved to a different state, a different jurisdiction. I mean, the entire process itself. What does it reveal about the state of law enforcement and judiciary in Nigeria? In brief, sir.
When I was picking the title for the book itself, a lot of people don't, there is a play on word in that title. Nigeria and its criminal justice system. The reality is that it is the justice system itself that has become criminal. It has taken the justice system becoming criminal for Nigeria to become the perverse place it has become today. Our judicial system, it's not just the judge. It begins with law enforcement. If I had a dispute with you here in Lagos, and you reside here in Lekki Phase 1 where you are interviewing me, and you were going to come and you report to the police in Lekki Phase 1, and they were going to come to my house at Chevron within the same Lekki to arrest me, they would go to the police station closest to my house and they would document the fact that they had there is an arrest warrant and they were coming to pick me up. But this time around, Policemen left Ekiti State. They crossed 6 state lines. They abducted me. I was sat in this very seat. And I was abducted from my office with my staff serially assaulted, slapped, punched, elbowed on camera by men who could not have been said to be uniformed. And I was taken in a private bus. These policemen were accompanied by a private security guard. He was one of those who assaulted my staff on camera. What kind of law enforcement is that? Even if I had committed a crime for which I must be arrested, is that how arrests are carried out? And then I was hauled before a magistrate. I will not speak to that charge for now, for multiple reasons. Because one thing you can take for granted is that some people would have to explain what took place. So when you speak to law enforcement, the entire process has been criminalized.
This interview with Sahara that Dele Farotimi did here, I wanted to talk about these because when we talk about change, we have to look at the entire system. But before I go into breaking down all the things he talked about, if you're meeting this content for the first time, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you're one of those who's been following our content, if you've been following my videos for a while now, and you've not yet subscribed, please do so. Join the voice, join this movement. Listen, I'm tired of the way Nigeria is run at the moment. I'm tired of the way Nigeria is currently being handled by this terrible government. So I'd like for us to put our voices together. So join by subscribing and following, and also share this content with other people as well. Okay, so please share, like, and obviously subscribe if you've not done so yet. The Nigerian judicial system, or the legal system in Nigeria, is a mess and it is corrupt. But I wanted to play these as a sequel to the other videos that I've done already on this channel, where I analyzed Dele Farotimi's experience and what he has said about the Nigerian system as a whole, with these 30-day challenges happening. And you remember when he called Bola Tinubu a very terrible president, and where he seconded that what Rhea, the youth couple lady, a girl, had said about the current government and Bola Tinubu as well. But this is another part of that particular video where he was dealing with the judicial system. And if we must fix Nigeria, we must fix our judiciary. Because for Nigeria to get to this level of destruction that it has gotten to, it needed the help of our judiciary. I'll explain. For Nigeria to be this bad, it needs the help for politicians to rig elections, for example. It needs the help of the judiciary to certify rigged election. Take 2023 election as a case study. What happened in the 2023 election? They rigged the election. It was challenged. The judiciary, the appeals court literally just nullified the Nigerian constitution just to make this terrible president a president, and we can see the terrible results. The same thing that follows as well, there's amount of rigging that goes from state to state. It needs the judiciary to validate that rigging to make it constitutional. So you can see the system of corruption as designed by our politicians to criminalize the justice system for their own personal use. You have to design the justice system to be criminal so that you can use that criminality to your own advantage. Take another example. Dele Farotimi mentioned from the beginning of the tape as you watched it, that he was hoping that other people would be sympathetic to his abduction or criminality, that whatever they did to him to arrest him. Because when it is done to one person A, it will be done to another person B, and it will become a norm. See what happened in Rivers State. You have to allow such criminality to happen for a president to pass a state of emergency and then bribe the legislature to allow that happen. And now the case has gone to court, and you're knowing for sure that they will kill the constitution by allowing the fact that the president can suspend an elected official, even though it is not constitutional. But by virtue of the fact that there's criminality in our justice system, Tinubu will have his way. He's already had his way with the legislature. He would have his way with the judiciary. So there are a lot of things that have happened in Nigeria where the judiciary has been a great participant in that corruption that's happened. In the rigging of election, it's been the judiciary. It's been our complete law enforcement process where two people will have a dispute. The person go calls the police, and the police will arrest the other person, put the person in prison, in jail, for a civil matter. The police have become a civil judge in the case of a civil case where somebody can just go to court, file a case, and then they will appear before the court. So now we've now been abused to know that to accept such impunity in our system. This is the reason why I wanted to talk about this today, because I realized that if we don't deal with the judiciary, there will be a problem. If we're fighting for change and working to make sure that 2027 we don't elect Bola Tinubu, we need to have the right judiciary that is independent of the intrusion of the corrupt politician. Look at what they're doing with houses for judges. That's just an inducement. Wike comes and tells us that President Tinubu gives a go-ahead. What do you think would have happened before they give those houses to those judges? You have to side with them. Even if they don't say it out with their mouth, they know that those judges would have to side with them. And guess what? If you check all the judicial cases, the somersaults of justice has been happening in Nigeria, you will be amazed. Every other nation will be looking at us. Are you guys really sure you know what your constitution is talking about? As a matter of fact, as we stand right now, the 1999 constitution as amended is dead. It's dead. Because you have to kill the constitution to make Bola Tinubu president, number one. You have to kill the constitution to actually pass a state of emergency, just as been described by legal luminaries like Femi Falana, to say it is illegal for federal government to say they're suspending an elected government. They started with this case. Look at it this way. There's a sequence. The Senate suspended Natasha Akpoti. Nigerians raised and said, no, that's not right. That's illegal. For 6 months. Shortly after that, what happened? Tinubu comes with another suspension for Rivers State. Can you see the sequence of events? Because when you permit one, you have to permit it for the others. The destruction of the Nigerian system or judiciary system, you cannot overlook it, because if we don't fix it, all the work we're doing right now will be in vain. If we don't fix the Nigerian judicial system, all the work we're doing, all this 30-day challenge will be in vain. You remember this guy? This is the guy, the former Chief Justice of the Federation. This was the guy I was talking about. The corruption under this man, as alleged by most legal luminaries, it's something that is beyond our mindset. Now we have this lady who's the current Chief Justice of the Federation. The same thing is still happening in our judiciary system. Supreme Court passing judgment that doesn't really make sense, where they're not following legal precedents. They're just tweaking the results as they go because we will favor you and we will destroy what precedents has shown already. That is why, if they followed the precedents of what has happened before, there was no way that the corrupt Akpabio and Michael Kweyemi would have actually suspended Natasha Akpoti. There's no way in heaven, under heaven, that can make that happen. And now we're facing another dilemma right now. So whether or not you're a proponent of Fubara and his agreement with Wike, that's besides the point. The point is that you cannot allow such evil happen today to somebody else, because you will be the next victim tomorrow. If you check my videos, one of the earliest videos I did, I talked about the corrupt judicial system, taking this man, former Senator Adamu Bukachua, as a case study. This man mentioned that he used to induce his wife to serve justice in favor of his friends on the floor of the Senate. Nothing happened to this man. Nobody, no Supreme Court justice said to us, let's go and review all those cases that this woman handled. In the open, you have to do independent judicial review to look at those cases that this woman handled and see her relation with regards to those cases and her family members and her husband. That's what we faced. This man, Senator Bukka Chua, mentioned down the judiciary on the floor of the Senate. Finally, Dele Farotimi talked about nepotism in our judicial system. Nepotism. What we find out today is that judges, the children of judges, the friends of judges, the children of the friends of judges have become our judges now. Do you ever think they will render judgment in your favor if you ever find the case against them in the law court? There's no amount of proof you bring to corroborate your fact, your story, that would actually go in your favor, because we now have the children of former judges and former justices becoming our judges. We have the friends of the children of former justices become our judges. It's by nepotism. The corruption in our judicial system, in our law enforcement system, we have to call that out. The reason for this particular content today, this particular video that you're currently watching, is because we need to call out our judiciary. They've weaponized criminality in our judiciary. They've induced them with bribe. Truth is not truth when it applies from one person to the other person anymore. It varies. It comes with whoever pays them. Our system, our judiciary system, just like Dele Farotimi mentioned, is designed to fail. So if we must take back our government, we must fight to take back our judiciary and let it be independent. Tinubu is one of our biggest problems, but they have to put a corrupt process in place to make Tinubu president. I'm telling you, if we don't fix this, all the effort for 2027 will remain the same, because they will rig the election. It will be clear, it will be blatant, and there's nothing we will do because the judiciary has already been captured. We need to remove it from the strongholds of the likes of these criminals, these corrupt politicians, the likes of Wike Oshomole, the terrible president that we have. Our system would not work until we fight and wrestle out of their hands this judiciary system. It needs to work. Every country where the system of law system works, it's because of the judiciary. If what happened to Ekweremadu happened in Nigeria, there is no way that man and his wife would have gone to jail in Nigeria. There is no way. It can only happen in a country where there's law and order, where there's enforcement and the carriage of justice where it is right. In Nigeria, it is not right. The corruption is too much. The corruption in our judiciary is too much. Our judges are collectors of bribes. Our lawyers are inducers of bribes. Our politicians are the chief of it. Building houses for justices to induce them. Where there's budget for the judges to build houses. By the way, don't they get paid? Do you ever see any other country where justices are built houses for? Nowhere in another country in this world where they're building houses for justices. They get paid for their job. You need to just pay them the right amount so that they can get their own houses, and then they are free from your hold. You don't tell us you're building houses for justices. It is a slap and an embarrassment to Nigerians. So as I said before, if you're meeting this content for the first time, please like, share. Above all, I'd like for you to subscribe. Put your comments in the comment section. Tell us what you think about what Dele Farotimi said. And also, if you've been following us for a while, there's nothing stopping you from subscribing. Please subscribe. Be part of this change. We're not going to keep quiet. Do not think that if you keep quiet, you'll get away with it. Do not think that if you keep quiet, you will get away with it. It will be you next. You can see the kidnappings going on in the country. It doesn't matter where you're living, home or in the diaspora, you're part of the solution. Don't keep quiet. And by the way, for those of you who think that we've been captured, well, maybe so, but we can be free as well if we make our minds up to be free. So as always, I'd like to say thank you for always following us. Thank you for subscribing, and thank you as you're about to subscribe as well. And in the next video, we'll catch you as well. God bless you. Bye-bye for now.